Hey everybody, Larry Lawton. I got a real important video for you today, and it's about incarceration. Obviously, it's one of my biggest pet peeves. The criminal justice system is just wrong in so many ways, and boy, it's called the Prison Policy Initiative. They really are a great resource for you to go to and look at some of the data that I've been looking at. And I want to talk about some of the states that you get incarcerated in or countries you get incarcerated. This is going to be an interesting video. So before I get started, please check me out on YouTube programs, member programs on Patreon, Discord. Check out my podcast coming out every Monday and Friday. We tackle a lot of great issues there. Check out my merch. This is about incarceration in a big way. And also, please pass on the videos and subscribe if you haven't. Now I'm going to get into this whole entire video. We're going to put a few links up here, and it's going to be also in the video so you can look at some of the statistics and how they made them. I went down the rabbit hole, they call it, and really got into the. I know a lot of statistics because I do a lot of research. It's some of the stuff that interests me the most, but this took me to another universe. Let me just put it that way. The states of incarceration. Listen to this. This is going to blow you away no matter where you are in your country, because you're going to find out right now, whatever country you're in, how your country stacks up to the United States and how your country is doing with incarceration and violent crime. That's what we're going to be discussing today. The state in the United States. The United States of America is a pretty big country. I think we're the third most populated country in the world, behind China and India. And we have approximately 340 million people in the United States. Well, how they did these statistics, they compared every state in the United States like as if it's its own country, every state. And then they calculated how many people were incarcerated per 100,000 people of your state. Makes a lot of sense. That's how you can do it around the world. They took countries with at least a population of 500,000 people, and then they compared them, because every state in the United States has 500,000 people, and then they're going to calculate how many people in prison on that state for per 100. Well, Louisiana, once again, the highest incarceration state in the United States, unseating Oklahoma to return to its long-held position as the world's prison capital. Hear what I just said? The world's prison capital. By comparison, states like New York and Massachusetts appear progressive, but even these states lock people up at a higher rate than nearly every other country on earth. Compared to the rest of the world, every U.S. state relies too heavily on prison and jails to respond to crime. We've got it wrong for many years, and it's crazy. But just to give you an idea, Louisiana incarcerates 1,094 people per 100,000 people of residents. So 1,094 are incarcerated in prisons or jails or by the Marshal Service of something like that. Second state on the list, and this is new statistics. These are the latest statistics. This data was compiled in August of 2021. And that now this data was, obviously they got it from 2020 and some states from right before the pandemic. So they're the latest statistics you can get of it. And it's a great site to check out, everybody. So, I mean, I look at this and say, what the fuck are we doing? At what point are we going to say stop? And I've been saying this for a long time, and I really want the United States of America to stop calling any other country out for human rights violations. I really do. Until you fix your own house. These numbers are just off the charts. It's not working. And the more I see these numbers, the more I want to help make change to this country. Or, trust me, I've thought so many things to trying to fix this problem we have. And it's not only a problem of perception. They even compare it to the states and countries with violent crime rates like America's. So you're not saying, oh, well, you know, there's a lot more killings or a lot of stuff. Why do these countries have the same violent crime statistics as the United States, thereabouts, incarcerating less? Give me the reason. If they had a higher crime rate, you'd understand it. And they'd say, well, they need to be doing more. No, we don't. We need to be changing what we've been doing. And it's just very frustrating to me to see this in such a visual way. Because numbers don't lie, everybody. I always say that. Numbers don't lie. You know, 2 + 2 = 4. I could tell you there's a hint of green in the sky or blue. And you could debate that. You could look at it and have two different somewhat opinions. You can't debate 2 + 2 = 4. You can't debate statistics that come in of numbers of people in a country or state and then comparing with the statistics that are used for incarceration, because they go into it here how they did this data. And this is what makes me so angry, if you want to call it that. Now, I get people who don't like this kind of content because they say, Larry, I'm harping on the United States and I'm doing this. No, I'm not. I'm trying to really straighten it out. You know, it's a no wonder when you don't rehabilitate, you have high incarceration rates because people come back. They recidivate. People go back to prison, and that's called recidivate. And what do they go back for? Doing another crime. But the statistics are here. Louisiana, all of these countries I'm naming would be the highest in the world if they were a country. Hear what I just said? So if you hear your state, that means barring anything else, your state would be the most incarcerated state or country in the world. Think of what I just said. In the world. Goes to show you how bad the United States has got it. Louisiana, 1,094. Mississippi, 1,031. Oklahoma, 993. Georgia, 968. Arkansas, 942. Alabama, 938. Kentucky, 930. Arizona, 868. Texas, 840. I hope you're hearing your state here. Tennessee, 838. South Dakota, 824 per 100,000. Florida, 795 per 100,000. Understanding that Florida's got 4 million people. Think of how many people that is per 100,000. Montana, 789. Indiana, 765. Idaho, 761. Virginia, 749. Missouri, 735. New Mexico, 733. West Virginia, 731. Alaska is 713. Nevada, 713. Kansas is 698, and then South Carolina comes in at 678. The next entity or the next group of people, whether it's a country, is the United States of America as a whole. 350 million people, whatever we have, we incarcerate 664 per 100,000. All of the states I read are actually higher than the United States as a country. So we're going to keep going. And I'm going to go just a little more, and then we're going to get into other countries, which is going to be cool. Wisconsin is 663. Pennsylvania, 659. Ohio, 659. Delaware, 631. North Carolina is 617. Colorado, 614. Boy, that pissed me off, that case of the trucker. 614 for Colorado. Nebraska, 601. Michigan, 599. North Dakota, 583. Iowa, 582. Every one of those states, if they were a country, would be leading the world in incarceration rates to any other country. The next entity is El Salvador. El Salvador is 562. Then back to Oregon, 555. Now we got Turkmenistan. Turkmenistan is 552. California, 549. Give them a little credit. Maryland, 500. 131. Then it goes to Rwanda. Now, there's no way you can justify these statistics. You could justify the statistics against violent crimes because it's right here in the data, and numbers don't lie. So Rwanda goes to 515, and then Cuba, 510. Now, all the other entities I read before that have more incarceration than those countries, like Cuba, Rwanda. Illinois, 497. Washington State, 455. Thailand comes in at 445. Now, I'm not going to read every one, but I'm going to keep going to the United States level because we're up there at everywhere you look. Then you got Thailand, you got Hawaii, 439. Utah, 435. Then Panama, country jumps in at 420 per 100,000. Per 100,000 people. Now, you're going to get down, I'm going down a little lower. Panama, Connecticut, 394. New York, 376. Costa Rica, 374. Uruguay, 372. Brazil, 357. Belarus, 345. Back to the States. Minnesota, 342. New Jersey, 341. Turkey, 335. Nicaragua, 332. Russian Federation, 329. So Russia has more people, less people than every state in the United States if it was a country, except for Maine at 328, New Hampshire at 328. Then you got Cape Verde is a country, 296, Namibia 295, Rhode Island back 289, Vermont 288, and the lowest incarceration rate per state in the United States is 275 by Massachusetts. So I guess you could applaud yourself, Massachusetts, just by saying, wow, we have the lowest in the United States, but we would be ahead of China, Fiji, Peru, South Africa, Georgia, the country, Taiwan, Gabon, Paraguay, Dominican Republic, Guyana, Morocco. All of these countries have less people incarcerated than any state in the United States. Think of what I just said. It blows me away to think how bad the United States is doing this. And then you say to yourself, why are we so incarcerated? What is going on in the United States to be this bad? And it blows me away. I'm just looking at all of these numbers, and I can't get it out of my head how bad we are doing in the United States. Now let's just compare it to places with high crime rates. Incarceration rates comparing and to the founding NATO countries, our allies. The United States is at 664, United Kingdom 129, Portugal 111, Canada 104, France 93, Belgium 93, Italy 89, Luxembourg 86, Denmark 72, Netherlands 63, Norway 54, and Iceland 33 people per 100,000. That's pretty wild. And if you compare Florida, which is the state I live in, and you can take your state on this site, put it in there. And I want to thank these people, and I'm going to mention them here at the end of the video. So the crime rate is seen in the U.S. do not require high incarceration rates. The incarceration rates in every U.S. state are out of line with the entire world. And we found this disparity is not explainable by differences in crime or violent crime. In fact, there is little correlation between high rates of violent crime and the rate of which U.S. States lock people up in prisons and jails. When we compare U.S. states and other nations in terms of both violent crime and incarceration, we find ourselves more closely aligned with nations with authoritarian governments or recently large-scale internal armed conflicts rather than any of the founding NATO member countries traditionally compared to the United States. That blows me away. It makes me start saying, what the fuck are we doing? How do we fix it? Obviously, I think this all started with the changing of the law in the 1980s with the say no to drugs, take 3 strikes laws. All of these came from the Reagan administration. They took away good time, gain time, positivity, rehabilitation, took out Pell Grants. They gave no kind of funding towards rehabilitation, and they made it an incarceration state. So that goes just to show you how bad we are. Here's more. Countries Countries that approach incarceration rate and violent crime rates of 50 states are El Salvador, Panama, Peru, and Turkey. Every U.S. state and the United States as a nation is an outlier in the global context. No other country incarcerates as many people, including countries with similar rates of violent crime. Is that blowing you away yet? And I know people say, lads, this is a boring. No, I hope it's not boring to you. I hope you're starting to say, man, I got to do something. I got to sign a petition. I got to look into why this is happening. Do your own research, everybody. I do massive amounts of research. That's what I do. I enjoy it. I really do. The United States is just off the charts. And let me give you the conclusion of this person. And they go into the data on how they got the data, and it's so legit. For 4 decades, you hear what I said? That's 40 years, and that's since the 80s. That's since the incarceration boom and the private prison boom of the United States. For 4 decades, the U.S. has been engaged in a globally unprecedented experiment to make every part of its criminal justice system more expansive and more punitive. As a result, incarceration has become the nation's default response to crime, with, for example, 70% of convictions resulting in confinement. 70%. I often talk about this and I get people say, oh, no way. Michael Vick went to prison. That was the biggest waste of taxpayer dollars in the world. Listen, I love animals. I love my cats. I really do, more than most people. But there were better ways to handle that instead of putting a man behind bars. You could have had him paying for commercials for the rest of his life of what do they call them? PSAs against dog fighting, abuse stuff. He could have spoke at schools. He could have did so much, and it would have been a better rehabilitation for himself and anybody around him in that world, instead of throwing a man in prison. I mean, it was just the stupidest thing in the world you can do. Prison is supposed to be for violent people who are gonna either commit another crime or their crime was so egregious they can't be around other people. Period. It shouldn't be used at every turn and angle we use. And sadly it is. We educated the public to think everything can be handled by throw the key away, out of sight, out of mind. That's what we did. And we've been doing it since I was a kid. And that's so wrong. And all you young people who watch my channel, I hope you get up and do something. I hope you get up and you're as outraged as I am. I am sorry I have to do this, but this is what we do. Yes, entertain. I'm going to take you to the courthouse. I'm going to take you inside stuff. I'm going to do a news show. I'm going to do reviews. I'm going to do GTA. I'm doing a whole bunch of stuff. I'm telling you, my plate has gotten fuller, not empty. I'm telling you, my life has gotten like that, and I love it. But if I could put the effort towards those, I have to put the effort toward this as well. Because you got to do things in life that make a difference. And I think this will make a difference. Today, there is finally serious talk of change. But little action that would bring the United States to an incarceration rate on par with other stable democracies. The incremental changes made in recent years aren't enough to counteract the bad policy choices built up in every state over decades. For that, all states will have to aim higher, striving to be not just better than the world's U.S. states, but among the most fair and just in the world. This statistic that I'm looking at is just, there's nothing that gets me more pissed about it than this whole thing. I'll tell you who the author is, and I applaud her for such deep research. Her name is Emily Windra, is a senior research analyst at the Prison Policy Initiative. She's an organizational expert on health and safety issues behind bars, including the coronavirus in prison. Over the past year, she has curated the Prison Policy Initiative's virus response page, which tracks the policy changes that prisons have made in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Her previous research also includes analysis on mortality in prison and the combined impact of HIV and incarceration and black men and women. Great job, Emily. And it's a job that people can look to because I read your methodology, how you did it. and it is legit as it can be long. I hope you guys look at it. It's out there, and I'm gonna put it out there. Now, people are gonna say to me, Larry, are you just saying that you know, we should be easy on crime? No, it has zero to do with that. Zero. A lot of these countries are harder on crime. We know that. Whether it's China or South Africa, and their crime rates are lower. Think of this, their crime rates are lower, violent crimes, crime and violent crimes are lower, and their incarceration is lower. Doesn't that have a correlation? If our crime rate was zero or very low, I would say, well, we need to keep these people incarcerated, but it's not. Our crime rate is higher than all these countries, and then our incarceration rate is higher. So that's not mixing up. You know, a police chief named Mike Force, who was my mentor in law enforcement, told me, Larry, he goes, don't judge a city by how many arrests it makes or how many DUIs. Judge a city on how many it doesn't, and they still have a good community or no accidents from DUIs or less crime. Then you know they're doing something right, and the police are doing something right. Well, it goes to say, that goes for everything in this United States. It really does. We as a country need to take what we're doing and reevaluate it, because it's been all wrong. It's not working. And we are the laughing stocks of the world. We really are. And people are not trying to do this. It's just numbers. Numbers that don't lie. Numbers that should mean something to your congressman and senator. Numbers that should mean something to people you vote in office. Remember that. You vote these people in office. Start being more proactive. Maybe you should join and become part of the solution and be a politician and change the laws. A lot of people tell me I should. And, you know, believe me, it's hard for me not to, but I do think I could do more help here doing what I am doing than sitting up there being one of 435 or one of 100 that doesn't get it done, because there's such polarizations in the United States. But please, please, United States, stop fucking complaining about any other country's human rights. Because if this doesn't show you how bad we're doing, then you are really lost out there. And if you could support high crime rates for no reason, you're the next one to get put in jail. And I think knowing the people and knowing how people think and knowing the young people out here, I think it can be done. And I have faith in you guys. I really do. So please go to Prison Policy Initiative. Check it out. Pass this on. There'll be graphs. I'll have a link in the video for this, so it should be pretty good. And please, please do something good. Help somebody out today and make good choices. Much love, much respect. I will be answering comments. Take care, everybody.